We're coming, and we ain't backing down.
We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror.
Everybody just do your job! You understand that?
Hey, will you shut up?
I'm bitterly disappointed with the officiating today.
Guys being dudes.
And they run through our like through a tin horn, man.
Thank you, Lee, and welcome to the Split Zone Duo Sunday Hurry Up for Week 11, presented by Dabwater. I'm Alex Kirshner with my compatriot Richard Johnson. Richard, how are you?
You understand the disgust in my heart with what happened last week on this show? In my absence, I feel like I feel like now I understand when like your English teacher would come in 10th grade and get the report from the sub and realize that we gave the sub absolute hell and then would then give you hell, a pop quiz or something like that. That's how I feel coming back to the show in which I co-host.
Yeah. After a 52-minute Split Zone Duo Hurry Up presented by Dabwater.
That is just a shambolic performance last week from all involved. I expected more from you.
Yeah.
I expected better from you.
Yeah, I mean, you get Roger Sherman and me together, and there's going to be a few too many rabbit holes for the hurry up to stay close to 30 minutes. But we're going to try it this week, Richard. You ready to put some time on the clock?
It is, and I mean this, the longest 30 minutes in college football podcasting. It starts in 3, 2, 1. Oregon 18. Iowa 16 in the absolute slop. No Kenyon Sadiq, no Decorin Moore. Backup right tackle for them as well. Iowa dragged this game to deep water like we literally said they were going to, like anybody with a brain knew that they were going to do. The weather was awful in this game. Everything was coming up Iowa, so to speak. And then, honestly, Iowa's special teams, the reason they lost this game. Aaron Snap on the first punt.
You will note the 2-point difference, which is accounted for by a snap through the end zone or into the end zone, kicked out of the end zone on a punt.
Yes. But Iowa survives the trap spot of all trap spots in this one. Credit to Iowa. All right, Jesus. Oregon survives the trap spot of all trap spots. Credit to Oregon.
Dante Moore is just a killer. The throw that he made to Malik Benson on the winning drive down the right sideline with TJ Hall for Iowa, good cornerback in good coverage. What would you call that? B+ coverage? A- coverage? Number 2 for Iowa?
You know, the funny thing is, so we do on CBS, we have a one-on-one with Gary Danielson. My anchor has a one-on-one with Gary Danielson after the game. We recap the CBS game, and then Gary comes on and does it. And we kind of like back up from the desk. And so I'm watching the interview, and Hakeem Dermish, my anchor, asks Gary if it was a good throw. And Gary said no. Gary was like, not that was a bad throw, but Gary was like, it's not a hard throw because the cornerback's not looking. But he did credit the placement as being.
That's why it's like B+. But he was, even though he wasn't looking, he was so on him that the throw had to be perfect for it to be caught because he was just running with him so well. Dante Moore has shown time and time again this year. Well, not time and time again. 2 out of the 3 times, the Penn State game and this game, did not really happen against Indiana, which might just be unbeatable, that when when Oregon has to have it, that Dante Moore will have it for them. I also thought it was really impressive the way that Oregon ran the ball in this game. It's kind of bizarre that they only scored 18 points. Do you see a lot of games where Iowa is giving up 261 rushing yards on 36 carries? I don't see a lot of those games. Oregon was, and you mentioned the right tackle injury, was in control of this game on the ground, and yet Iowa kept themselves in it for a very long time. Gronowski's line was almost exactly what we said it would be passing. Not almost exactly, but 10 of 18 for 138 yards, 12 carries for 25 yards, but it included what was going to be the winning touchdown before Oregon came back down the field. On a really odd defensive play by Oregon, I will acknowledge on the 4th down.
Not an odd defensive play, but for all you QB spy lovers, by the way, you should probably pay attention to how your QB spy that you love so much does not always work. Iowa comes out, spreads it out, empty set, 5 wide, in shotgun, it's QB draw all day long because it's Iowa. And the spy takes one of the worst angles you'll ever see from a QB spy or a second-level defender and blocks himself out of the play. So your magical QB spy that everybody loves so much does not always work.
Yeah, winning field goal for Atticus Sappington, a kicker whose name just makes me want to go and plant a tree or get some maple syrup or something like that. Great win for Oregon. This was an absolutely crippling loss for the Dadwater home dog of the week. I felt very good, very convicted about Iowa. We're now just 6-4 straight up, picking the home underdog to win in this initiative with our Sunday Hurry Up presenting sponsors, Dadwater. We are 10-0 against the spread on these, but
Alex,
that's not why we do it. This is
Alex,
not a gambling program. We're not working with the book.
Why are you bringing this up? Like, why are you even bringing it up?
It's if you had been tailing these with spread picks, you'd be 10-0, but it's not even the point.
Alex, we cannot bring up the fact that we're 10-0 against the spread, even though I did say that I did not expect Iowa to actually win this game, but I did expect them to cover the spread, which they did. But again,
not the point.
The fact that we're 10-0, it's honestly, it's a misnomer. It's a non sequitur at the very best.
Not the point. Thank you to Dadwater, the flavorful and stylish tequila water with 4 all-natural ingredients, no sugar, no carbs, no carbonation, and it's gluten-free. We move forward on the Sunday Hurry Up presented by Dadwater. Ohio State 34, Purdue 10.
10 for 137 for number 4. He is a tell your kids about him one day player. The ball that Sayan had to him for a touchdown, I think it was in like the second quarter, phenomenal. They roll on.
USC 38, Northwestern 17. Actually bummed that this is not the week that Roger Sherman is in the hot seat, because this is what Roger would call a Fetty whopping. 17-38. But USC took care of business here. Mekhi Lemon is just too good for Northwestern.
With this loss and Indiana's win, the all-time FBS loss record now belongs to Northwestern. Congratulations to the Wildcats. I believe the number is either 715 or 716. Did you see the Lincoln Riley backup punter thing? He put the backup punter in the jersey, or the backup quarterback in with the jersey of the punter, which you just can't do. Like, you cannot do that.
I don't think you can do that. There were people who were getting it wrong. I saw on whatever video app this was going around on after it happened, people were like, you're allowed to have 2 guys with the same number? And I was like, folks, you're getting it wrong. Of course you're allowed to have 2 guys with the same number. There are more guys on the team than there are double-digit numbers or 0 numbers. The problem was the shirt thing. But look, if you can... Lincoln Riley's flagrant disregard of procedure.
No, it's honest. Him and Kyle Whittingham are just artists. True artists.
But this one is funny enough that I'm inclined to just say you scamp and move on with the hurry up. Wisconsin 13, Washington 10. Just sickening for Washington here at Camp Randall. And yes, we know, Camp Randall, nighttime, Wisconsin's defense is not that bad.
The state section was half full. Don't give me that.
It's sickening. It's sickening. Wisconsin wins this game with 48 passing yards. Speaking of punters throwing the ball, half of them are from the punter, who was one of 4 pass throwers for Wisconsin in this game. Washington was in the playoff race sincerely up to this, because they only have 2 losses and they're a Big Ten team, and they got Oregon in a few weeks, and that potential win continues to appreciate, but not anymore. And if Jed Fish is playing extension ball here with UCLA, Florida, whoever, if I'm Washington, I'm saying, see ya, man. Best of luck to you. I mean, you can't. This is just sickening. Sickening.
Elsewhere in the Big Ten, Penn State, Indiana, sources say ended in a banger.
Mendoza in the backfield, back to throw. Pressure comes again, throws it to the end zone. And the catch is made. Is it a touchdown? Touchdown! Unbelievable! Omar Cooper with a grab, and he put his foot down. It's a score for Indiana.
That is Don Fisher, the Indiana Sports Network from Learfield. When you're out of town and want to keep up with live college sports, be sure to download the free Varsity Network app, available for both Apple and Android. Listen to college sports live with the Varsity Network app. Indiana 27, Penn State 24 by millimeters, I think is probably the proper nomenclature for Omar Cooper in the back of the end zone, what will go down as an all-time play in Indiana football history.
I think it goes down among that group of catches that you could make a strong case is the best catch in college football history. There's a few chill out, Richard. No, Richard.
No,
you see, this is Alex, the kind of thing that you're going to say I'm being a prisoner in the moment. I happened to talk about this in detail when I was writing my Sunday newsletter with Jason Kirk about this. And he queried a bunch of the rest of the staff of The Athletic. This is in the group. It's in the group with the Tyrone Pro throw catch, which was in week 2 against Southern Miss.
The Charlie Becker catch 3 plays earlier was as good as this catch.
Grow up.
Alex.
Richard, the Charlie Becker catch was sweet, but you see that a handful of times a year. I mean, come on.
The C.J. Daniels catch from Miami earlier in the season was better than that. Obviously, I'm going to give you my Ricky Pearsall catch from a couple years ago. You remember Jacoby
did
Jacoby
Percy
Lane
Harvin make a great catch I'm missing? Did Aaron
Jacoby
Hernandez?
Lane, Kyron Hudson had great catches for USC last year. You are a surprising prisoner of the moment on this one, my friend.
Don't think so. It was an incredible catch. I also want to shout out the back judge, John Dasher of the Big Ten Conference, who was on this one focusing so intently on Omar Cooper's feet and making the most difficult call that a ref can make, which is the one that's basically right at his feet while he has to move to stay out of the way. Job
White
well
cleats
done.
on white paint.
We appreciate officiating excellence, and this was a great call on the field. If they got it wrong on the field, they probably get it right on overturn, but you don't know because of the overturn standard being so ridiculous. I actually leave this game feeling even better about Indiana than I did coming in because they did it without Elijah Surratt. They dealt with true adversity when they looked like deer in the headlights. They blew a 10-point lead and got stopped, and Penn State had the ball. Defensive line had to get them the ball back at the end of this game. Did you see, I know you did see, Kurt Cignetti's little smirk after when he said this was the most improbable win he'd ever been a part of, and what a place to do it made him smile. That's the Yinzer coming through right there.
Oh, of course. I will say credit to Penn State with obviously interim head coach nothing to lose on this. The pressure packages were really good. Especially at the end. At the end, they're running like pseudo punt block. It was incredible for Penn State. They're going to go out a certain way, and they did, unfortunately for them. One thing, by the way, on the long run, was it by Katron Allen in the second half that got Penn State back in it when it looked like Indiana?
And then but I think it was mostly Singleton for that half. It might have been Allen for that play, though. Yeah,
for the 59-ish yard run. Get the umpire off of the field in college football. This is a thing that comes up like once a year, and I feel like I go crazy because obviously that is not the position of the umpire in the NFL. We talked about good pieces of reffing earlier in this game segment. This was a bad piece of reffing by position of the umpire, who basically blocks Indiana's second or third level defender right there and springs that run. Credit to the official there for the good blocking posture.
Yes, that was Singleton on that run, but I agree. Nice blocking there by the Stripes. Indiana has the mandate of heaven. It's pretty clear. They're going to be in the Big Ten Championship against Ohio State in a few weeks. It's probably going to be for the 1 seed. Home field also has the mandate. Game breaker jackets. They're incredible. They're going like hot cakes, but they're going to keep making more cakes, I hope. I wasn't overselling these jackets. They're really cool when I talked about them on the midweek show. Received a voice memo after the game from home field co-founder Connor, which we play now on escalated speed because this is the hurry up. So joke's on you if you already play your podcast on enhanced speed.
Hello, Connor Hitchcock, Homefield co-founder, CEO, back again here. A few notes I have from today's Indiana football game. One, I will never die, and I will never lose at football ever again. Second, Fernando Mendoza had been taking most of the third, fourth quarters off because he'd been so good, and I appreciate Alex mentioning that on the show last week. But just to show you who should win the Heisman, Mendoza, etc. Glad we were able to get that out of the way. Third, Indiana beat Penn State for the first time ever at Happy Valley. That's great. The last time Indiana beat Penn State, if you recall, they hosted Penn State in 2020 when Michael Penix Jr. reached across the goal line and unquestionably won the ball game. Thanks, go Hoosiers. Our national championship line will be incredible.
Texas Tech 29, BYU 7. In more or less the way I think you and I thought this game was going to play out. We talked about it in the midweek with CBS Sports colleague of mine, Shehan Jayaraja, who came on the show, big Big 12 guy, who gave BYU a lot more credence in this game than I think either of us were going to give them coming into the game. I thought it was quite clear that BYU was getting away with it. BYU, for the second year in a row, found a way to win some games. It's very nice, but it's November. It's serious time.
Tech, to me, has the physicality that if they do not blow it on Championship Saturday and are in the playoff, which they should be, that I will think that they could actually maybe scare winning it, which, we talk about this going into the playoff. Typically, there's, 3 to 5 teams that might, sometimes even less, sometimes maybe 1 or 2. I think that because of the David Bailey of it all, and I use him as a stand-in for that entire group of front players on both sides of the ball, I think they might be able to do it. I mean, they were not physically playing the same game as BYU in this one. Dominant, not very dramatic. Also, shout out special teams excellence. Tech's punter and kicker were both putting on a masterclass in this game.
Well, BYU's returners weren't.
And
correct. Also, look, David Bailey literally leads the country in pressures, and I'm pretty sure he leads the country in sacks. It's a situation where I think Tech's defensive line is much better than Tech's offensive line. I do have some January concerns about Tech up front on offense, but I do think they are January concerns, meaning I do think they'll navigate the rest of this and end up in the playoff.
There's a chance they'll have it clinched before they even play in the Big 12 championship. I think that Tech is good enough where if they were 11-1 going into the Big 12 championship, they'd be playing for seeding because of the eye test, if you will. A couple quicker ones here in the Big 12. Iowa State 20, TCU 17. Backbreaking punt return touchdown for Iowa State in the fourth quarter. Hearing rumblings, more than rumblings. In fact, I just know this because I have enough trusted people that Dykes has lost the fan base at TCU. Lost it. Not to say he's lost the athletic director or the donors. I don't know. But he's lost the fan base. Lost the proletariat. Not happening.
It's hard to understand how TCU lost this game when you just look at the box score, to be honest with you.
It is hard. I mean, the answer is the punt return at the end. And Josh Hoover not making progress, threw a couple picks early. They got Eric McAllister, but what else do they got? It's an open question. Houston 30, UCF 27. Just noting that Houston could, if they if they win against TCU or Baylor and a bowl game, they're going to get a 10-win season. Quietest 10-win season of the year. No great wins, but still pretty good stuff for Willie Fritz.
West Virginia 29, Colorado 22. Probably rock bottom after rock bottom for Colorado. Juju Lewis starts in this game. Didn't really make much difference. Obviously, Colorado's just grasping for it. It's a bad loss season for Colorado and Dion.
In the Southeastern Conference, Texas A&M 38, Mizzou 17. Another Roger Minted Fetty whopping. This one, Richard, just went exactly as we knew it was going to go with the first start quarterback against Cassius Howell and company.
Yeah, A&M's really good, and Missouri's on a freshman QB in making his first start. It is what it is. I understand maybe you expected a little razzle-dazzle bye week, and at home, but no. I mean, Texas A&M is solid.
They only sacked him twice, but they were both sack fumbles, one of which was picked up and taken back to the one to basically immediately set up a touchdown. Missouri's defensive front manhandled two. A&M is extremely good. A&M is looking like they're going to be busy on Conference Championship Saturday. Us too. We're going to be with our great partners at Nokian Tires at an event in New York City. Just watching ball on December 6th. That's a Saturday. Congrats to listener Dustin, who won the drawing for airfare, lodging, and drinks. Everyone else, we want to see you too. We will very soon announce a location for that event in New York City on December 6th. Getting to be that time for cold weather travel. Nokian shines in that time. Check out NokianTires.com/first for winter driving tips, as in first things first. Georgia 41, Mississippi State 21. I use the term not playing the same physical sport with BYU and Texas Tech, and this was kind of like that too.
I am starting to wonder if Georgia is going to do the thing that the great Clemson teams would do, which is find it in November and just drop the clutch on everybody. I'm wondering if Georgia has the ability to do this. Lawson Lucky goes down in this game, and Elias Williams, the freshman tight end for them, who's like 6'8" or some shit, had an incredible catch in this game. We still have some of the deep ball issues with Georgia. Generated some explosive passing plays with some catch and runs here, but especially the way that I think Levy and Mississippi State got after them relatively last year in Athens. I didn't really think that Georgia was going to mess about in this one with an offshoot of the Mickey Mouse offensive system, and they didn't.
Up goes Frazier. Nate Frazier seems like he's back in the mix here after a fumble in the Bama game seemed to doghouse him a little bit more than a few weeks back at this point. So they got two good running backs with him and Chauncey Bowens. Middle eight domination here. They turned this into a blowout by just absolutely cashing in those border minutes around halftime. Impressive for Georgia. Took care of business, and there is a big one for the Georgia Bulldogs next week. In Athens, it's going to be one of the parties of the season. Clearly, Georgia's going to try to knock Texas and Arch out of the playoff race. We're going to have a lot of friends there. Major home field-led delegation, and our podcasting pals are going to be in Athens having a lot of fun. Details in our show notes, but it's Ryan Nanny and Stephen Godfrey doing a Phantom Island show. Lucy Roden, Graham Coffey, home field, lots of friends there. The ticket info, if you want to join on Friday night in Athens, is in our show notes. You'd have a blast with all of them, no question. Vanderbilt 45, Auburn 38. Richard, the most interesting thing about this one to me is sort of the way that Auburn's identity flipped in this game. You know, DJ Durkin had a lot of other responsibilities this week, and Auburn's defense was terrible for basically the first time. And Auburn's offense, get rid of Hugh Freeze and let Derek Nix do it, and apparently they can suddenly score points. Just throw the ball to Cam Coleman. I don't know. It's
as good a plan as any. I will say, good result for Vanderbilt. Did not love the process here. I thought it was insane. Vanderbilt did kick at the end of the game with a minute left.
On the 4th and 1 where they got stopped.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't trust their kicker. It would have been, what, an upper 40s-yard field goal, about 50.
Yeah, but like, golly. And I understand you're then giving Auburn a potentially short field ball. I understand why they did do it. I just still didn't really love it.
Vanderbilt's going to be, if they win out, which is, we'll see, going to be a very interesting committee case. I tend to think that they find a way for a 10-2 SEC team to get in no matter what. But
yeah, the problem is you might have. I don't think Texas. We're not going to do this now. I don't think Texas wins all the way out. We'll see if Oklahoma wins all the way out. So we'll see. But yeah, the real intriguing question will be 9-3 Texas, which we'll get to later probably.
I don't think it's that intriguing a question. Alabama 20, LSU 9.
Buddy, all right, we'll see you Selection Sunday.
We will. We'll see. We'll see. Alabama 20, LSU 9. Garrett Nussmeier is just having a nightmare of a year. I mean, he'll probably figure it out in his long football life and play in the NFL, but it has not been good. It's been inexcusably bad, I would say.
I fear we have to stamp LSU with a Q word watch here moving forward. It's Q word watch at Florida, and I think it's Q word. What is it? It's Q word warning, I think. With LSU, right? Warning is when we might have tacos. Watch is when we're definitely having tacos, or is it the flip there? Whichever one it is, Florida's on Q word absolute warning because we're having tacos in Gainesville. LSU is on Q word watch. I think you got Oklahoma and Arkansas remaining. And
I'm just letting you go with this one. Whatever. Yeah, Florida and Kentucky also played a football game in the ACC. Wake Forest,
that's one way to put it.
16. Virginia 9. I told you that something like this was coming for UVA, possibly as soon as this week. It arrived in the form of. Well, I mean, I was just insisting that Wake could do it, and something like this was going to happen, and it happened in the form of 4 trips to the red zone for a combined 9 points. And their quarterback, this is a separate thing, gets hit in the head as he slides, hurt, seriously looking, did not return. Hope Chandler Morris is doing okay.
I mean, it's not like Wake did much of anything in this game at all. They were
fairly timely. They had an 88-yard punt return touchdown.
Yes, they have a punt return for a touchdown. Wake did not exactly cover themselves in glory, but they won the game.
They did. Kudos to the UVA backup quarterback, Kalen Daniel, for sort of keeping the offense moving, but they just couldn't finish in the red zone, and they lost to a team that threw for 64 yards on 23 pass attempts with Robbie Ashford playing quarterback for the most part. I mean, Wake going to a bowl game, kind of incredible this year. Jake Dickert is a serious ball coach. Another major result in the ACC on this night.
Here's the snap. The game on the line. Drops to throw. Looks to the end zone. Making the catch. DeJesus at the goal line. Touchdown, California.
The game is not over. The game is not over.
Jacob DeJesus calls game.
They're saying the game is not over.
They have to review it to make sure. Yeah. But on his 16th reception of the night to tie the single game record for California, DeJesus is in to stun the 15th ranked Cardinals.
That's Justin Allegri from the Cal Sports Network from Learfield. Say it with me now, folks. JKS. JKS.
Yeah.
JKS. 5-2 will not become 5-7 for Cal because our boy pulled it out of the fire in this spot.
Oh, it is 5-7 Jacob DeJesus, as in 5 feet and 7 inches, the wide receiver for Cal, who Louisville just couldn't really cover. They targeted him 23 times, which is hilarious, and it sort of worked. I mean, it wasn't like an efficiency masterclass, but I think he had 158 yards on 16 catches, including the one that you just heard for the win. I feel like if you're Louisville, you have to know where Jaron Kiave-Sangapulotele is throwing that ball on 4th down in the game, and yet there was only one guy over there covering him, and he walked into the end zone. Not very inspired defensive play calling by Louisville.
Well, you also got what's it called? You got a pivot route. Like, that's a route that, theoretically, and I think
What did you think the 5'7" guy was going to? You think they're going to throw him a fade?
I think that offensive players and play callers would tell you that if run correctly, that route is undefendable, so they say. And it proved it in that spot.
It was run well, and it was thrown well. JKS is the prince that was promised. Good call by Brian Harsin, too, to win that game for Cal. Louisville just needs to do better here, especially at the end of regulation. They get the ball after an 18-yard punt by Cal, just a complete shank. They're basically at midfield, and Miller Moss comes out and gets sacked immediately on the first play. All they needed, they have a good kicker, Louisville does. All they needed was 10-ish, 12, 14 yards for a pretty makeable field goal, and they couldn't get it, and then they lost the game in overtime.
I think out of all the ACC soup, I think Louisville probably has to be the most frustrated with how this has shaken out.
Miami 38, Syracuse 10. You know what happened here. Syracuse went back to Ricky Collins. Miami is better. Miami was upset. You understand the deal. Miami's still probably going to be boxed out of the ACC championship. SMU 45, Boston College 13. What's up, Trevor?
Starting to hear some rumblings.
I should hope you're hearing some rumblings, Richard. Just to run down some things here. Isaiah Smith alone of SMU had 4 sacks. That's out of 8 for the team. Ymir Knight, the wide receiver for SMU, had 162 yards. Boston College's defensive front got blown off the ball so badly that they gave up 5 yards per carry before contact. Boston College also fumbled 3 times. But are you down, Richard? I'm not down.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how's the play?
I'm not down.
I think that I wonder if we're going to get the backing the head coach with more resources type of statement that we got like we got from Wisconsin, the reiteration of that like we got from Wisconsin. By the way, I do think that is the new fire the coordinator's vote of confidence, like death rattle of a coach's tenure, by the way. The whole we're going to do it again with more alignment and resources for the roster, which is sort of the we're going to pay for some players, or at least try to, and if you don't get it done next year, whew.
Clemson 24, Florida State 10. Speaking of which, Richard,
you will not see a defense with less respect for a quarterback than Clemson had in this game for Tommy Castellanos. I will say Brent Venables on the sideline for this game. He can't make his son's senior night, so he came to this one, and they did a fitting Brent Venables impression, did Clemson's defense in this game. There was so much cover zero in this game, or at least cover zero looks at the snap, where it looked like you got a team looking like they're running punt block on that, including the last offensive play of the game for Florida State, in which Castellanos tries to escape the pocket and trips over his feet there, and the game was already far from over, or was already basically over, I should say, but was then literally over in that spot.
The Belichicks sacked Stanford 9 times. I didn't even look at the final score of that game, but 9 sacks for North Carolina against Stanford. Everything's coming up Pitt Panthers right now in the ACC, just pointing that out. We move to the Independents and to a team that has more ACC wins the past 2 years than Florida State does. UConn 37, Duke 34. Banger of the day, Richard.
Yes, banger of the day. I am keyed into and about to be focusing on this UConn team very intently, because next week, if you happen to be watching UConn versus Air Force, which I implore you to do, yours truly will be making a debut as a sideline reporter for UConn and Air Force. Really excited for that, and excited for UConn being good. Just good.
Yes, when you interview Jim Mora, you'll be interviewing a good coach, a successful coach who has UConn at 7-3.
Skylar Bell is like one of the best receivers in the country, full stop. Like on the very short list for best receivers in the country right now.
Yeah, so I want to alert everyone to this. Duke is 5-4. Duke only has one ACC loss and actually looks pretty good as far as I can tell in the tiebreaker situation in the ACC. Yeah. They do not control their own destiny, I don't think, but they look pretty good in a lot of possible tiebreak scenarios.
We do not do tiebreakers on this
don't.
show. That is one thing we don't do.
And a lot of conferences now literally do not do them until the last week of the season when they have their consultants or whoever go and tell all the teams what the situation is. This is a new thing, especially as the conferences have gotten bigger. But anyway, if Duke beats UVA next week, that's UVA possibly with a backup quarterback, their path to the ACC championship game as a currently 5-4 going on 6-4 team would be pretty good. And I don't expect this to happen, but I am going to undead James Madison in the playoff chase right now.
Thank you.
But not for the reason you think. If Duke were to win the ACC at 9-4 and James Madison were to be the 12-1 Sun Belt champ, ACC's missing the playoff, folks. Now, I don't think that's going to happen because Pitt's going to win the ACC and the playoff.
Obviously.
But I'm just putting it on the table. That
it's again
Sun Belt in over ACC, possible.
It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions, which a lot of people always forget. It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions. And I am frustrated that we really don't know the measure of the G5 race because they didn't rank any of them last week, and they sure as hell aren't going to do it this week.
Notre Dame 49, Navy 10. Not a great endorsement for the American here. Everything we told you was going to happen happened. Plus, Blake Horvath didn't play, so it extra happened. I mean, This is just a different physical weight class.
By the way, also snow by the end of this game. It was literally snowing at the end of this
Rollicking scene. Rollicking scene.
Is that the whole lake effect thing that they talk about? You never know. Marcus Freeman does not screw around with the service academies. He has no respect for the troops. It's honestly quite impressive. Tulane 38, Memphis 32, Friday night. God love them. Somebody's going to win the American. As time runs out, someone's going to win the American. It's unclear who and when and if. But my sources are telling me that someone will win the American.
Yeah, I mean, for yet another year, it's not going to be Memphis, which will continue to not make the American championship game. Crazy that continues to happen. Jake Retzlaff finally had the game Tulane envisioned he would have when they added him. Pretty surgical. A lot of Memphis losses the past few years feel pretty similar. They get into a big hole. Offense looks like it's never played football before. Then it changes that, and then they come up a stop or two short, which is exactly what happened here. Brendan Lewis got hurt, which, doesn't help matters. They had a false start that really hurt them on their last gasp comeback attempt, and they still can't get to an American championship game. I think it's going to be a North Texas USF rematch right now, but more to come. We'll see. Speaking of those Bulls, USF 55, UTSA 23. Kind of a weird game, Richard, but USF's offense is just too good for UTSA.
Yeah, you have the pick six on the first play of the game, and then the fumble 6 off a guy's foot a little bit later, which went like 90-something yards because UTSA had actually driven the length of the field basically to potentially tie the game up at the time. By the end of the first quarter, USF's offense hadn't hit the field until like 4-ish minutes left because UTSA just kept running plays and screwing it up. So UTSA, I think, had run like 25 plays before USF even touched the field.
Little war of words, if you will, going on around this game. Feels like this is happening around a lot of UTSA games this year, where Jeff Traylor, before the game, at his press conference, basically sounded despondent. I'm just going to paraphrase, but he was like, we just need to go in there and pray, try to keep it close, hope they mess up. Traylor, who does not really try to hide his dissatisfaction with NIL situation, the roster at UTSA, likes to talk about how expensive other teams in the American are. Golish did not care for that at all. And I think Golish made a fair point. Golish said that, everyone knows you need resources, which coaches love to use the word resources instead of money for I don't know what reason. Because it sounds classier. And says, you need resources, but there's a lot of development, retention, deployment going on here. And Golish has a fair point about that. You do still have to coach the team and develop the players. Look at Byron Brown's development at USF. But there's kind of a funny thing in coaching where coaches really want to have a lot of money for their football teams, but they don't like it when other coaches say they have a lot of money for their football team.
ECU 48, Charlotte 22. Charlotte had chances, honestly, in this game. It's kind of short-circuited a lot in ECU territory. So it goes.
ECU still on the periphery of the race here. They've been basically forgotten about, but they are there. It's peripheral because they have a loss to Tulane, which would make things hard, but only one loss in the American. So watch the Pirates with the corner of your eye. Army 14, Temple 13. Richard, get a load of this shit. Did you see how this game ended? Did you see how this ended?
I did.
Someone alerted me when they were like 9 plays into this drive to go and watch what they were doing, and I'm glad that they did. Temple gets the ball with 11:22 left. They're down 1 point, and they get the ball at their own 8, and they go 3 and out, and they punt it away with 10 minutes left. So Army gets it with 9:53 on the clock, and Army keeps it.
Army gets it, and then Temple did not then again get it after that.
You can imagine exactly how this went. I found this in my research with Jason this weekend for The Athletic. Army has had, since 2019, 14 drives of 18 plays or more. Nobody else in college football has more than 5. About 7% of all such drives in the sport over the last 7 years, are Army's. Nobody's doing it like these guys.
James Madison, 35. Marshall, 23. In a game closer than the experts thought. Much closer than the experts thought.
Dukes got scared here. They were up commandingly in the third quarter, but they went into a lull. This was a 5-point game with Marshall having the ball in James Madison territory in the final 5 minutes. And then Marshall got stopped on downs, and JMU hit a big touchdown to Wayne Knight. Close, but no cigar for Marshall. Who knows? Could the Dukes make it over the ACC champion? We're going to monitor this.
I wish the Dukes had won over an ACC team. That would have helped the case.
It would have helped. Coastal Carolina 48, Georgia State 27. Richard Tim Beck seems like he, from a guy we were talking about maybe getting fired, might be playing a pretty big game in a few weeks against those JMU Dukes instead.
Yeah, I was getting texts a couple weeks ago on a Sunday morning, like, watch Coastal, it could be over very, very soon. This was like on a, I need to make some calls in the building status on a Sunday morning, but it hasn't gotten there. And they seem to be winning their way off, or have won their way off, honestly, past tense. They've been doing quite well the last couple weeks.
As long as they do not make a big mistake when they play Georgia Southern next week, their Week 14 game against James Madison, which is at home in Conway, will be for the Sun Belt East. They also have a South Carolina game in the middle of that, but they're in the race. James Madison's going to have to beat them in order to do all the things we were just talking about. Southern Miss 27, Arkansas State 21. Golden Eagles 5-0 in the Sun Belt. Very, very good position in the West. They're going to be hoping to clinch before Troy visits Hattiesburg last week of the season, but we will see. This one got mega dicey. Southern Miss was up 13. Arkansas State wound up driving in the 2-minute from their own 25 to the Southern Miss 13 with a chance to win it on a touchdown on the last play. Jalen Raynor picked off in the end zone trying to do it. On Thursday night, Georgia Southern 25, App State 23. Second pretty much identical painful loss for App in a row where they score a bunch of points in the fourth quarter but come up short. Decisive play was a really bad interception thrown by A.J. Swan, who got his job back for App, tried something he shouldn't have with 7 minutes left on a first down. Whole shot got picked. Aiden Jackson for Georgia Southern, which has won 2 in a row in this major rivalry series that has come up from FCS to the Sun Belt. Richard, Conference USA, Kennesaw Owls time.
That's Kennesaw Owls to you because Kennesaw is on pace for 10 wins. Got to win out coming home. Kennesaw State can do it.
Kennesaw State University. What a turnaround by Jerry Mack. Also, they do this with their quarterback, Amari Odom, this week. Under 50% passing and with 2 picks.
Buddy,
who cares?
3 things can happen when you throw the ball. Only 2 one of them is good.
Yep. Jacksonville State 30, UTEP 27. Second year in a row that Jacksonville State has wound up, and this was after some quarterback machinations with a great quarterback running back ball-toting tandem. It's Caden Creel at quarterback, Cam Cook at running back. They combined for 260 on the ground. Charles Kelly's having a very nice first year there, and Jacksonville State, opportunity to win this conference again with a new head coach in his first year. Delaware 25.
Delaware 25, Louisiana Tech 24. Could not, for the life of me, figure out why Louisiana Tech was favored in this game, and it paid off.
Dude, Delaware, which has been plucky, pulls off an onside kick into a 51-yard winning field goal in the final minute. Delaware had blown a 9-point fourth quarter lead, and this was going to be an uplifting bowl eligibility win for La Tech, and then they give up an onside kick and the long field goal. Tough, man. Special teams matters. Missouri State 21, Liberty Flameouts 17. Missouri State trailed for 52 minutes and pulled it out of their sleeve late. Liberty is the flop of the season in college football, in the G5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Missouri State, by the way, is an extremely explosive offense somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we talked about them, I think, in the midweek as surprisingly, like, look, we got to go back on our priors about how hard it really is to come up from FCS to FBS. Quite honestly, we will, I assume, do that over the summer in the offseason.
Richard, because in Conference USA, the new FCS teams or the new FBS teams have tended to do okay. What do we think of Missouri State's coach Ryan Beard? I think I read him in your CBS Sports Guys to Know column the other week.
Yeah, with the great men, Chris Hummer and John Talty, came up with 88 guys to know in this college football coaching cycle, silly season cycle. Obviously, we missed a few because that's how that works. But he was on there, and I would keep an eye on him. He's doing a great job.
Doing well. In the Mountain West, Hawaii 38, San Diego State 6 in the nightcap. Goodbye, Aztecs from the playoff race. That will do it for that.
Yeah, and honestly, to be fair, Hawaii was kicking their ass before they got a touchdown on a kick return and a pick six in the third quarter to really and truly break the game wide open. Outgained them 300-90 in the first half. 7-win Hawaii. Great job by Timmy Chang. They out first downed them in the first half last night, 16-3.
Dude, Hawaii might just be pretty good. They're up to, I think, 72nd in SP Plus, and
which for a Mountain West team, that's not Boise.
Really high for the Mountain West, and they're in the conference championship race too. They would need someone to drop another game, ideally San Diego State, who they've got the tiebreaker on now. But I mean, yeah, just a hugely impressive job by Timmy Chang. Future Mountain West action: Sam Houston 21, future Pac-12 action, future conference mate action with San Diego State. Very sloppy transition. Sam Houston 21, Oregon State 17. We have talked recurringly about Oregon State special teams this year. It's a big local saga in Corvallis. Well, Richard,
it's gotten worse.
it has been almost unfathomable. Oregon State in this game misses 2 field goals and gives up a kick return touchdown and a scoop and score on a punt that goes, I think it was a block 6.
And they missed 2 field goals, by the way.
I mentioned the 2. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But I understand how you could get lost because there's a lot to say here. First win for Sam Houston and Phil Longo. But, I mean, this Oregon State thing is one of the worst special teams units in football history. Midweek action. Richard, been a while, but we'll just level set. This conference has 4 teams now at 4-1. Ohio, Miami, Buffalo, and Western Michigan. Ohio's win over Miami, which I think we already mentioned. Biggest result of the week. Ohio is probably the team that you would most want to be. You also have Toledo at 3-2 and maybe about to get back into it because they got a big trip to Oxford. That's Ohio this upcoming week. Complete logjam here. We don't do tiebreakers, but eyes on it. Also, shout out EMU for beating Bowling Green 27-21 and bringing out the Macoon on an interception. That's a green Eastern Michigan colored raccoon cutout. The Macoon.
Also, shout out to Montana holding on against Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington, upset-minded, 4-point underdog. Score, have to kick an onside kick, retain the onside kick, have to drive down to get 6 and win the game, upset, undefeated, 9-0 at the time. Montana. Quarterback Jake Skokel is trying to kill the clock on 3rd down in the very, very low red zone. They would need 1 yard to convert for a first down on the 4th down play that we all assumed was coming. And he fumbles the spike because the center kind of got pushed into his lap a little bit by the nose tackle, fumbles the spike in. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
I have never seen it. I think that once it's fumbled, the thing that he had to do was not try to recover it and just walk away as if that had been his spike. And see if you can get a whistle from a ref who's confused about what's going on. But I don't blame him for not thinking about what to do in that situation, because that situation has never happened. In the lives of most quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean, you don't see it.
In the history of college football, I defy you to do, all right, 2 things have to be done for our audience. That's homework. Find a better catch than Omar Cooper's toe tapper, and find another fumbled spike situation to lose a ball game like you saw. Montana.